Good morning, everyone. Hello. And happy Monday. And if you live in the United States, like me, happy Memorial Day. Today is Monday, May 30th, 2022. It is a national holiday in the United States. It is a day where we take time to remember those who have given the ultimate sacrifice for our country to provide the freedoms that we have. You know, a great way to actually describe Memorial Day is this is a day when you should enjoy time with your family and friends, but also take time to remember those that can't do the same because they sacrificed everything so you could have that ability, right? And I'm very respectful and very, I'm in awe of people who sacrifice what they do to serve in the armed forces. Seriously. Basically giving of yourself so that others may have a good life. So, to anyone out there who has served, thank you very much for your service. To anyone who has lost their life in the line of service, thank you wholeheartedly for allowing me to be right here, sharing my life with an audience every day because of what you have sacrificed to allow me to do that. So thank you so very much, okay? If you don't live in the United States, it's not a national holiday for you, but I'm just saying, I know a big majority of my viewing audience is American. Now, traditionally, on Memorial Day, Americans do things like family cookouts, friendly get-togethers, parties. Grilling out is a traditional thing that you'll do. Hot dogs, hamburgers, chicken, sausages, all kinds of cool stuff. Drinking profusely, drinking beers usually. All kinds of outdoor activities. Personally, with my history with Memorial Day, never really did that. For me, as I hit my young adulthood, which would have been the years where likely I would have been starting to do stuff like that, actually, Memorial Day weekend was the weekend of the biggest Street Fighter tournament on the East Coast of the United States. It was called ECC, which is short for East Coast Championships. And this tournament would be held in Dunellen, New Jersey, at an arcade called 8 on the Break. And it was pretty cool. It was actually one of the tournaments that introduced me to competitive Street Fighter at the time, because I'd been playing Street Fighter in arcades in Connecticut and sometimes New York City all the way through the 1990s. But I never actually started playing competitively until the very late 90s and then regularly in the early 2000s, where I would regularly travel to ECC once a year, Memorial Day weekend. So while everyone else was partying it up and cooking out and drinking, I was playing Street Fighter in an arcade with hundreds of other guys crammed in like sardines, sweating profusely, stinking to high heaven. And by the way, I'm definitely not saying that I don't remember those things fondly. I do. Like, those were my formative years as any kind of a competitor or any kind of public presence. Meaning, you know, when I was in arcades playing against people from all over the country who would fly out to Dunellen, New Jersey to compete, it gave me the ability to stand in front of a crowd and do something and not get nervous. Like right now, I have over almost 200 people on stream. At some points today, we'll have more than that, of course. My videos go out in front of thousands of people on a daily basis. Do I get nervous? Absolutely not. Kind of the contrary. I'm super comfortable now being in front of an audience. But for the most part, that's because I had that experience from my arcade days of Street Fighter, right? At any time that you would start playing a game on a cabinet, everyone's watching you play. Everyone's critiquing your every move, right? Talking shit, because man, was that a part of the culture back then. Talking shit to you when you were trying to actually play competitively, right? So, I do have fond memories of ECC back in the day. I really do. The tournament organizers, like Todd Dwyer or Jet Fee, running a really good ship as much as they could. People from all over the place, you know, the New York area, New Jersey, Rhode Island, you know, going way down, people from Florida flying up, people from the West Coast. I remember the years when people came from right here, from Washington State. They would fly to the East Coast Championships. Man, those were crazy days because, again, no internet to play these games over. There was no online play. It was just you had to travel to play people in Street Fighter competitively. So I could seriously sit here and reminisce about it for hours, but that's really not the point of the PreStream podcast today. I'm just saying that's my memories of Memorial Day are very different from everyone else's because it was traditionally the time to compete in Street Fighter. You would practice for months before Memorial Day weekend and then travel to Dunlin, New Jersey for it. Although the funny part of all that was it would end usually Sunday into Monday, and everyone would have to travel home on Monday, which is traditionally one of the biggest travel days of the year in the United States because people are traveling on Memorial Day, and it was like, damn, did we pick worse timing? But they did it every year. It was like a tradition every year. Anyway, yes, I have been to Washington, D.C. 6-headed Go. I've seen the Lincoln Memorial. Anyway, happy Memorial Day, everyone. Now, let's talk about what's going on, man. Because this is my final consecutive streaming day of the week. All right? It's been a fun week. Admittedly, we're doing a ton of filler content right now. Let's just be honest about it, right? Most of the playthroughs I'm doing, Skyrim, WWE, Uncharted 2, and Zelda, are filler playthroughs. Now, over the weekend, I tried out Pac-Man Museum Plus, which is a really great game in my opinion. But again, it's kind of a retro throwback game. Even though technically it's a new release, you're playing old stuff. And after playing it a couple of days, I've decided I will likely play it in the late night stream rotation. I'm not going to be doing it as a daytime stream, moving forward. It had one good session yesterday on the fly, which takes me to today. Yesterday we were supposed to do a Skyrim Anniversary Edition. But after talking with you guys live here on the podcast, a lot of people were under the impression they just wanted to see more Pac-Man like right away because they really enjoyed it. So we did an on-the-fly poll, which is one of the awesome things that I like about being the kind of content creator I am, is that at a moment's notice, if we want to pivot or shift in another direction, we can. And the poll said, hey, let's do Pac-Man. And here's the thing. If this had been a scheduled day where I was doing an ongoing normal new game playthrough, I'd probably be pretty apprehensive about swapping games. But being that it was just a Skyrim day, this is a playthrough I've been doing since freaking December. It's an ongoing chill playthrough with no pressure to ever finish it in any kind of a reasonable amount of time. I said, it doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and let's do some more Pac-Man, right? So, it was a good time. I had a good time with it. And we will be playing more of it, like I said, on the late streams. But today it's time to get back to business, back into the swing of things, as we play Skyrim Anniversary Edition. And again, not sure what we'll be doing in regards to the gameplay today. Will we focus solely on story development and do the political plot line? Will we instead do open world exploration? Yesterday I got some suggestions about doing the Bard's College in Solitude. And also I got reminded about the murder mystery plot line over in Windhelm. So, we'll see what we feel like doing today. Usually when I'm playing Skyrim, it's completely open and optional, whatever we do. It's no big commitment. But I will say this. Within the next week, I do want to begin the Dawnguard Dlc. Because it's the last major chunk of content in the game before we get to the finale. And we are near the finale, just to clarify for everybody. In the main story of the game, if we were to just try to finish it right now, we could probably finish it in 2 streams or less. There's not that much left in the main story, but there's still a ton of other supplementary content. And Dawnguard is the other huge DLC, along with Dragonborn, which we've already done, that I definitely want to explore. Okay? So, we're going to do it. I'm excited. It should be a good content-filled, chill stream of Skyrim to end the week. I'm actually excited it's Skyrim because this is my last day of the week. I like to unwind a little bit on this day rather than it being, it's hyper-focused on progress and stuff like that. It's more like, it's a more relaxing day of Skyrim. Sounds good, right? By the way, shout out to those who are renewing their memberships today. As you guys can see, membership's still doing really well. Last night actually, we hit an all-time high, 531 members. Now, we lost a couple overnight, but we do have a couple people renewing. Maybe we'll hit it again. Maybe we'll exceed it and hit another record today. Anything over 531 is a brand new record here for DSPGaming, okay? And by the way, I'm not here tomorrow. But when I return, okay, on Tuesday, I'm going to set up a new members goal, all right? And for the first time in a long time, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to set up a tiered members goal. We haven't done this in ages. The last time I did a tiered goal was back on Twitch, because back then it was way more viable to hit a tiered goal because of gifted subs. But now we have gifted memberships here on YouTube, okay? So, I will be setting up a tiered reward system for the month of June. I think there's a lot of things in June that are going to get people excited for me and my content. First of all, a lot of React-style stuff coming up in June, including me reacting to the Sony State of Play on Thursday, me doing the special React event to the John and Howard video on Saturday, then Summer Games Fest, as well as the Xbox and Bethesda press conferences, all React events for me that are new things, new content. I never did live Reacts before, and we're going to give it a shot this month, okay? Now, in addition to that, there's new releases this month, unlike all of May. We've got, from the makers of Till Dawn, the new game called The Quarry. We've got Mario Strikers Battle League, which I think is the Switch version of Mario Strikers. Later on in the month, we got the Capcom Fighting Collection, which I'm very excited for. But in addition to that, there's other stuff too. In fact, now that I'm mentioning it, I might as well just open it because I have the listing right here. Seriously? No way. Wow, this is a crazy good month. Listen to this. Ready for this? On June 12th, the new PlayStation Plus Premium tiers launch. And I'm going to get that. And we're going to do that together. We're going to explore those tiers. We're going to try playing games, streaming games, downloading games, and seeing what's on there at launch. That's going to be exciting. And then I didn't even remember this. Sonic Origins comes out June 23rd. That's the new collection covering like the first 4 or 5 Sonic the Hedgehog games, all with remixed and remastered content from the makers of Sonic Mania. That's awesome. Then we've got Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes and the Cuphead Delicious Last Course. Wow. That is actually a jam-packed month. June will be very exciting. Okay? So, yes, I am incredibly excited to play stuff and react with stuff and just do fun stuff with you all along the month of June. So, that being said, with all that coming in June, I'm definitely feeling very positive that we can hit, membership goals here on the channel. There's going to be people coming to the channel who haven't been here in a long time. There's going to be motivation with the gifted memberships. So I'm going to think about it, but I think I'm going to do a tiered goal that's very different because it's going to have 2 completely different things. On the one hand, all right, I'm thinking we can bring back one of your favorite events, things that I used to do in the past. I haven't done it in a long time, but I feel like people would be very excited for this. The return of a viewer's choice playthrough. Okay? Now, what does that mean? It means that you'll have the ability to nominate and vote on a game that I will then play a full playthrough of here on the streams during the downtime summer months. Okay? In the past, you guys have nominated and voted on so many different kinds of games, including lengthy JRPGs like the Yakuza or Persona series, action-based platformers like Super Mario Sunshine or Crash Bandicoot or Spyro the Dragon, crazy visual novels like Danganronpa, right? I mean, I could go on and on and on about all the different games that you guys have nominated for Viewer's Choice. And we haven't done a Viewer's Choice in a ridiculously long time now, so I feel like it's time, okay? But in addition, since it's a tiered reward system for June, if we hit another tiered reward, now we will have the ability to choose the next React major event. And as I've told you guys, I am trying to diversify my React style content at this point. And what I'd like to do, instead of it being guaranteed to be like a drama video, give some options. At this point, there are options. We could watch a documentary style video about someone on the internet made by like Down the Rabbit Hole from Frederick Knudsen, or one of the documentaries from June the King, or we could watch some of the other content that I mentioned. I actually got approval from a different internet content creator who makes like true crime documentaries, supernatural stories, countdowns of crazy unexplained phenomenon, and we could maybe do some reaction style stuff to that as well. Okay? So all that being said, that's pretty exciting because if we hit a tier 1, we do 1 reward. If we hit a tier 2, we do a 2nd reward. And both are exciting. And imagine getting double rewarded, right? And I think that will actually motivate people to either become a channel member or gift memberships to the channel to hit those goals. So, that's all coming. In fact, we will talk about that when I get back on Wednesday for my day off tomorrow. We'll talk about how that's going to be set up. I got to think about it in my head because also, keep in mind one thing that's going to happen. This always happens on my day off. I'm going to lose memberships. People will not be here to renew memberships. They will lapse, and I'll come back on Wednesday, and the memberships are going to go boo. Probably, I'm going to guess 20 memberships will be lost. Seriously. That's my guess. I'll come back to maybe 500, 510 memberships. And I'm like, well, it's fine. Let's work. Let's do a tier 1 and tier 2 system and tier the rewards and all of that. Okay? All right. Good stuff. This is going to be a good month. I'm telling you, I'm feeling really positive about June with all the stuff coming up. Good variety of stuff. Okay? So thank you to everyone who's become a member. Thank you to everyone who's gifted memberships. Again, if we hit 531 today, we've tied the record. If we hit 532, we've hit a new record. What I will do is, by the end of this pre-stream, I will check and see how many members we have and see if we've gone up or down. In fact, I should probably check right now. Probably check right now, since we did get 2 people who renewed, although I get the feeling those are renewals that will not count. And I was absolutely correct. We're still at 529. Okay, just wanted to double check. Sweet. All right. So now, folks, let's talk about the schedule, shall we? Let's talk about what you can expect for this week, because this is an exciting week of variety coming up. So today, chill fun in Skyrim, and I want to say thank you to everyone who's joining me. I'll be honest, it's Memorial Day. I don't know how many people will be here for the stream. We may have abnormally low viewership today because people are going to be celebrating with their family and friends. On the flip side of that, for people who don't have anything to do today, they'll probably be watching streams. So it may be the opposite. Maybe we'll have an increase. I don't know. I always say one thing one way and then it ends up being the other way, right? So, yes, my friends, excited for today's chill stream of Skyrim. The late stream tonight, 6:45 p.m. Pacific time, is the continuation of The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past, my favorite Zelda game of all time. I'm very excited to be playing it only a second time for the internet, first time in 9 years. Having fun with it for sure and doing pretty good with progress. I'm hoping for maybe beating 2 more dungeons tonight. That's the rate I've kind of been doing it. It takes about an hour or a little less than an hour to beat a dungeon, but then there's exploration and stuff in between as you get the new abilities. So, I'm excited. Zelda tonight, all right? As I've already explained, I'm off from streaming tomorrow, all right? So, tomorrow, guys, gals, everything in between, please have a good day away. Please be safe. If you want to get caught up on any of my content here on DSPGaming, feel free. That's why I upload the stuff on demand. Remember, as you're watching on demand, if you want to support the channel, you can always give a like to the video you're watching. You can leave some comments on there. I will always approve those comments when I get a chance, if not on my day off overnight into the next day, okay? Excuse me. And then, I did not, Expand Dog, I did not say Cuphead was the 24th. No, it's the last thing this month of June. It's on the 30th, correct. When I come back on Wednesday, all right, WWE 2K22 continues on the main stream. We are now starting off Monday Night Raw. I just got to the Monday Night Raw show, so it'll be exciting to see what happens as I finally, arrive at Raw for the very first time. And then Wednesday night will be the continuation of Pac-Man Museum Plus. We'll do a nice late night stream of Pac-Man Museum Plus for variety's sake. Thursday, excuse me, that will be the next stream of Skyrim. However, on Thursday, something special is happening, okay? I will end Skyrim early. We'll stop playing Skyrim roughly around 2:45 p.m. Pacific time, and then we will set up and do a live react to the Sony State of Play. First time I'm ever doing a live react ever in my history as a content creator. We'll watch it together right here on DSP Gaming. And then immediately following, I will do a recap reactions segment where I talk about everything that they talked about and my thoughts on all of it, okay? So that will be exciting for sure, all right? And then Thursday night will be the continuation of Uncharted 2. And then Friday, the main stream will be more WWE paired with my late night Street Fighter session, Friday Night Fights. Only 3 sessions left of the 30th anniversary collection until the new one comes out in late June. Awesome. Then Saturday is the big one. Saturday is the big marathon event everyone is anticipating and waiting for. Saturday, June 4th. It is DSP Reacts to the John, Rambo, and Howard expose. The video from 7 years ago that broke the internet. No, it didn't. It really didn't break the internet. In fact, it wasn't that big of a deal, but to this day, I haven't fully or really ever formally addressed it. People have always wanted to know my thoughts and my reactions, and is it what they said true? And we're going to talk all about that on Saturday when I live react to it. But in addition, Saturday will also be a live Feasting with the King. So what I'm going to do is on Wednesday morning, we're going to post up a poll right here on the channel where you guys are going to vote on a type of cuisine you want to see me try for Feasting with the King during Saturday's marathon event. The choices will be Vietnamese food, poke bowls, or Szechuan Chinese, and that's it. Because I was thinking all week about what would be a fourth option. I'm like, you know what? Those three are fine. And I know that there's great restaurants around here for all three of those. So we'll just leave it at that. And you guys vote, and we'll see what you guys come up with over the course of the week. So that Saturday morning, we'll be ordering the food together. All right? And then we will do that React event all day long. Now, as I've told you all week, I'll say it again. This is not a hit piece against John and Howard. It's more listening to their concerns, reacting to what they said, letting you know how truthful it is, or basically how kind of how can I say? Not that it's not truthful, because obviously from their perspective, it's truthful. But on every situation, there's always two subjective perspectives and then usually an objective middle, right? All you've heard is a subjective perspective from their side without hearing the bigger picture of hearing the other side of the argument. And I'm not saying that I'm here to defend myself. I just want people to have context. Because when you listen to that video, you have zero context for 90% of the stuff they're talking about, and you have no idea what they're even saying. I'm bringing that context in. Bringing it in. We're going to have reference. They'll reference a podcast where I talked about something. We're going to play that podcast. So you can actually see what was said, and then you can judge for yourself. And by the way, again, this is not for me to defend myself or whatever. I'm going to openly admit I wasn't a great friend of those guys. I know I wasn't. That time of my life was very different than it is today. I was insanely busy to the point where I neglected a lot of things. And I was always hyper-focused on being the guy to pump out videos. Like, that was my focus in life. Pump out videos, pump out videos, pump out videos, with everything else around me kind of eroding, okay? So, this will be interesting, to say the least. It's going to be a great event. I hope you guys will be here on Saturday for it, if at all you can be. And then on Sunday, Monday, we're back to regularly scheduled gameplay. That next week is the week when there's some big React stuff that's going on. On the 9th of June is actually Summer Games Fest. That's the new event held by Jeff Keighley. That's kind of the E3 replacement. I'll be reacting to that. And then just a couple days later, I believe, is the Xbox and Bethesda Online Showcase. I'll be reacting to that, okay? So, awesome, all right? Very good. Very good. All right, outside of that, just trying to think if there's anything else really to mention here that's coming to mind or that's kind of sticking out. What I will say is this. I do want to say once again, guys, thank you for a very fun and supportive week. Admittedly, this week, a lot of times on streams, I was mentioning things like support on the streams. I mean, for good reason. As I told you guys, ever since I got the gifted memberships now almost 2 weeks ago, I'll be honest, tips have slowed down dramatically. And it's concerning because tips are the major way that I pay for stuff. Tomorrow's my day off. Tomorrow, I have to go grocery shopping. I have to get supplies for Jasper. We have some other things we've run out of in the house, like, you know, household cleaning items and things like that, that we have to now restock. That's not a normal, like, weekly expenditure. It's like something that comes up that's expensive every once in a while. We have an appointment we need to attend. So, you know, having the funds from tips is how I pay for that weekly stuff. Okay? And when I see a pattern, it's not just like, oh, there was one slow day. When I see a pattern of, oh God, 2, 3, 4 days in a row where all my streams have lower tips than I had been making for a very long time, it's concerning. All right? And I do feel like a lot of people got fed up this week of me mentioning it, and I hear you. I don't like talking about it at all. At all. I hate it. But this is kind of the price I pay for being the kind of content creator that I am. Someone who, over the years, never sold out, never took a bunch of opportunities. Some would call it opportunities. Some would call it just taking a paycheck to put out ads and trash, you know. And I don't do that. I still to this day, probably every couple of weeks, I get a couple offers through email. Hey, it's a new indie game, and we'll send you a code. Will you do a promotional video? And will you do this? No. That's not the kind of content creator I am. I play things that interest me and interest you guys, right? I give you honest takes on what I'm doing. I'm not the kind of guy that's going to sit here and chill and do promoted streams. I'm not the kind of guy that's going to all of a sudden have a fucking toothbrush on the side of his podcast saying brush your teeth with this electric toothbrush and click my referral link. I'm the kind of guy who's here to give you meaningful and fun content every day. And you, all of you out there, have given me the ability to do that for almost 14 years. Think about that. Thank you for that. But it is concerning and it is sadly alarming when I have a couple weeks where things have really slowed down. I'm like, uh-oh, this is not, now it's not just 1 or 2 days, it's a pattern, okay? So the other day I made a video about it. Of course, Reddit made fun of me because they're a bunch of dipshit, scumbag, idiot kids who fucking have no idea how to run a business or make a living regardless. They just want to make fun of people on the internet. But outside of that, some people actually heard the call and came, and actually it was a really supportive day this weekend. We hit all the goals the other day on both streams, which was outstanding. And then immediately following that, we went right back to being kind of slow again. And it's like, I'm not going to complain when we had a really good day this week, but still, like, I hope this isn't an ongoing pattern. And here's the truth, as I've said, I do feel that we're in a time right now that's kind of unique. All right, number one, having the gifted memberships. A lot of people took advantage of that. We jumped humongously in memberships, and that's where the focus went. All right? That's going to hurt my short-term support with tips because people did this instead. I get that. Number two, there's literally no new stuff going on. Literally nothing, right? And when there's no new games out, nothing hype, what on earth am I going to expect people to be supporting me with or doing, right? We're not getting any kind of increase in viewership or nothing because it's all downtime stuff. Now, my core audience, you guys are awesome. You're here every day. You support me. You chill with me, and I really appreciate that. But hopefully, between all the new stuff coming up, including the React events, right? When we react to Sony on Thursday, I'm going to have my React to John and Howard on Saturday. We got more React stuff coming up later in the month with the Summer Games Fest and the Xbox Bethesda Showcase. On top of that, we got new games coming out this month finally. Hopefully this month it'll be right back to where we were. Okay? I hope. When is State of Play? It's on Thursday at 3 p.m. The Villain. I just said that. Thursday, I'm going to be streaming Skyrim. We're going to end early to swap over, and I'm going to do my live react to the State of Play right here on the stream. Okay? Okay? Good stuff. So thank you for understanding. That being said, all right, tomorrow's my day off. It sure would be great if you were going to support the stream today, if you could tip me, because that means I have those funds for my day off tomorrow. Literally anything contributed today via tips allows me to have a better day off tomorrow because I can, have a meal out with my wife. In fact, we were just talking today. We're like, we haven't had Mexican food in a while. The last time we had Mexican food was right here. If you remember, months ago, I did a marathon and we ordered Mexican food for the Feasting with the King. So what was that? March? Something like that? Or maybe it was my birthday marathon. I can't even remember. But that was the last time I had Mexican food. So you're like, maybe I'd like to have some Mexican. So, be great to be able to afford that. And it's the tips to pay for that. So, yeah, absolutely, guys. If you support with tips today, thank you so much in advance, all right? But, hey, if you want to support in any other way, membership, super chat, super sticker, that's all good, too. I'm not looking to give horse in the mouth. I'm just saying right now, yes, very matter-of-factly, since tomorrow's my day off, tips would help me a ton, okay? Abdullah, there is no Del Taco here in Washington State. Del Taco is very, very prominent in California. I know because in early 2000s, so 20 years ago, I spent about 2 weeks in Orange County, California, staying with my friend. We spent a lot of time just kind of chilling and doing touristy stuff, but then we went to, at that time, the national tournament was called B5. No, I take that back. B5 was before then. We went to it was the first Evo. I forgot all about that. It was the very first Evo. The first one ever we attended. But where he lived, dude, there were like Del Tacos on every corner. Like literally every corner you went. And it was pretty good food. I mean, I'll admittedly, is it great? No, it's fast food. But it was very cheap. And for what it was, it didn't taste bad. Yeah. So there you go. Okay. So, all right, we got all that out of the way. Now, normally we would do like shout-outs or whatever. I think we have 2 shout-outs for the people who renewed their memberships, but then we're good to go. We can just do Q&A. There's really nothing else to talk about today. There's nothing really going on. So I'd be open Q&A for a while today. But first off, let's do shout-outs, okay? So we start off with two people who've renewed their memberships. We've got Pausen, who's a 4-month supporter. Thank you, Pausen. And we've got Barely Legal, who's a 7-month supporter. Thank you both for re-upping your memberships. And again, 531 is the record. If we hit 531, we tie the record. If we hit 532, it's a new record for the channel today. Right now, we're at 529. All right. Over on the tip side of things, first tip coming in today is from Tarantula MS 2018. Thank you so much, Tarantula. You know what I got to remember? I keep forgetting this. In this new version of OBS I'm using, it's much easier to update the leaderboard. I don't have to go to a separate menu to do it. I can do it right from this screen now. But I have to remember that, and I keep forgetting because I'm so used to using a separate screen to do it for so many years. I got to get used to the easier functionality when it comes to this version of OBS. So, okay. So thank you there. And also, Snow Carl did a couple of small tips. His first $1.50 tip, he says, let's see here. Does it make sense to make polls for games and other choices regarding stream members only, since they are your core audience, as well as preventing trolls from voting for games that the real fans don't want? Well, if you're talking about my idea to do a viewer's choice playthrough as a member's goal, here's how it actually works, okay? Because a lot of people probably don't remember this because it's been so long since we did a viewer's choice event. I'm going to set a member's goal for the month of June. If we hit that goal, we're going to lock into a viewer's choice event. Now, what ends up happening is both people who are members and aren't members will both be able to nominate games, all right? There'll be one public poll on my channel page, or not poll, one public thread on my channel page, and then there'll be another thread, a privated thread just for members on my channel page. And people will post up the games that they're nominating for the viewer's choice event, okay? Then what I do is I let that run for a couple weeks, actually, and then I tally up all the nominations and I create some polls, all right? Now, the members themselves will be picking one game to make it into the final poll, while the public will probably have 2 or 3 games that are going to be making it to the final poll. And then we do a final poll of the members pick plus 3 public picks, and then people all vote collectively, okay? So the members get incredible priority. They're going to get a game right into the final poll right away because they're a member. Now, the thing is, when I'm doing a viewer's choice event, you got to understand something. It very much is viewer's choice of everyone. It's not just, oh, it's going to be members only. Everyone's going to be watching that playthrough, right? So the last thing I would want to do is make it members only. Because, by the way, I used to do that. You might not realize this, but back in the day, when I just started with Patreon, we used to do Patron's Choice. And when I did Patron's Choice, it was kind of a double-edged sword, and here's why. By the way, I don't know why the stream chat is frozen, but it has. It used to be a double-edged sword, and here's why, okay? The patrons would get ultimate power. They would, okay? And they would outright have all control over this playthrough. That would happen, okay? But number one, undoubtedly what would happen, I'd have a bunch of patrons and probably 10% of them would nominate and vote for games. Because the majority of people who contribute aren't looking to get anything out of it. That's just the truth. It's called the silent majority. The silent majority of my viewers and the silent majority of my contributors are not here trying to help out because they want something out of it. They already are getting something out of it, the free content, and they enjoy it enough that they want to support it. They're not here to say, oh, I absolutely need to get a game played or this or that, okay? Are there people like that? Yes, there are. But a lot of people just want to do the support and watch the content that's out there. So what would end up happening is here we are. I got hundreds of patrons and 20 people would nominate and vote on a game. Yeah, that would happen. In addition, a lot of the times, the stuff that the patrons would nominate and vote on would end up being things that my mainstream audience were like, huh? What's that? I still remember when they picked Danganronpa 1. And everyone was like, what the hell is Danganronpa? And freaking out about it. And keep in mind, Danganronpa 1 was an incredibly long playthrough that a lot of people gave me shit for playing. Like, dude, this game is like 40, 50 hours long and we don't care about it. And I was like, yeah, but it's what the patrons nominated and asked for. We got to do it, you know? So it was kind of a mixed bag because sometimes it would totally open my eyes to a whole genre or something that I never played, didn't even know existed, and that was really neat. At the same time, a lot of the times it wasn't in line with what my mainstream video audience was really interested in because it was just a small group of people who had asked for it. I truly feel that if we just did members only playthrough like that, that's probably exactly what would happen. Is that we'd have a situation where maybe 100 members, maybe less nominate, even less vote, and we end up with a game that's great, but you have half the people complaining half the time, why are you still playing this? I'd rather have it with members will have very increased priority and very increased ability to formulate the polls or what game will be ultimately played, but there is an element where the public also is involved, so that way we get everyone's input, okay? Now, if you're just talking about on a daily basis throwing a poll up, so for example, maybe you're talking about yesterday when I was here on the pre-stream, we were chilling and talking. I was talking about how I enjoyed playing Pac-Man Museum Plus so much the night before, okay? And it seemed like the majority of people on the stream, at least in the stream chat, were like, hey, what happened to my wedding ring? What happened to it? It's on my finger. That's what happened to it. It was a stupid question. So, people seem to be of the impression that they really, really wanted Pac-Man Museum. So I put it to a poll. Now, I put it to a poll here on the stream chat, and I put it to a poll on the main channel page as well. So I had two completely different polls. We had the live audience and the on-demand audience, both voting at once. All right? And once that was done, at the end of the pre-stream, it was about a 60-40 split in favor of Pac-Man, which I was all for because I had loved Pac-Man the night before. And as I said, likely I would not be doing that with a regular game that is scheduled, that's an ongoing playthrough, that's a new release. If it's a new release and people want an ongoing narrative or whatever, then yeah, I don't want to bump it. But in this case, Skyrim's a game I've already played when it was new, over 10 years ago. It's a playthrough we've been playing since freaking December. It's known as the chill stream game. There was absolutely no reason to put priority on Skyrim. We could bump Skyrim at any time. It's definitely the game that can be bumped if we want to bump it to do something else. And it just so happened that it was a really great opportunity to do something different and for variety. And I really enjoyed myself yesterday. We had a great time, I feel. So, no regrets there. Excuse me. Okay. Now, Snowcrawl did another $1.50 tip. And is saying one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. I'm seriously not even going to read it. Seriously. If you, Snowcrawl, I want you to understand something. If you don't understand what you're suggesting is incredibly stupid, harmful, and fucked up, I don't know how to help you. Like, I mean this. If you think that saying what you just said is like something that should even be thought of publicly, you're fucked up in the head and you need to get some help. I mean, can't you seriously for a second put yourself into the shoes of someone else and wonder why what you just suggested would be really stupid? Really, I mean it. So please stop with the bullshit. I'm not even going to read it because it's so fucking stupid. Okay? You don't even want to know. It's the dumbest thing. It's like anyone with common sense would even think this thought. But it's obvious he doesn't have any to say this. Anyway. All right. So that is it for contributions. No, I'm not going to read it out because, like I said, it's a stupid thing like that is actually harmful. I mean it. Something like that is actually genuinely harmful. And I'm not going to read it. It's dumb shit. Okay. Let us open up to Q&A. So if anyone has any questions for me, any topics they want to address or discuss today, please tag me in the stream chat, and we will have some open Q&A because we got tons of time for it today. Like, there's nothing going on right now, really. See, here's the thing. This is the calm before the storm. We're about to have slews of game news coming out constantly this month and everything coming up, but we're not there yet. So it's kind of a dead time, and I'm open to just chatting with you guys. Big Beach says, what games in June am I excited for? Okay. What games in June am I excited for? I'll be honest, Mario Strikers Battle League, nah, not super excited for it. I didn't ever play a Mario Strikers game before this. It could be really good, but it might not be. I don't know. I'll still play it. It's a first-party title. Likely it'll have a lot of polish. I heard it has a story mode that's going to be probably pretty cool, but I'm not, like, super pumped for that one. The Quarry, I am super pumped for. This is a game from Supermassive Games. This is the makers of Until Dawn and the makers of the recent Dark Pictures anthology, which is kind of hit or miss, but the last two games were kind of big hits. I would say it was the Man of Medan. The start, it was slow, but the last two have been really good. For those who don't know and haven't seen it, my Until Dawn playthrough was arguably, people have said, some of the best content I've ever put out. Me watching a horror-style themed game / plot for the very first time, didn't have a lot of gameplay, but making those silly choices, reacting to how ridiculous the people were in the game, trying to keep them alive, and just seeing that plot unfold for the very first time. Here's the thing. I love horror movies of the slasher-style B-movie variety. Any of that stuff from the 1980s, like Friday the 13th, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, those are the really awesome horror movies, in my opinion. And to see a game like Until Dawn unfold in front of me, and me actually being a part of that, actually controlling it, actually, interacting with it, was a unique and fun experience. And that's why I feel like every year when we play the Dark Pictures Anthology games, it's kind of the same deal. But I don't think any of the Dark Pictures Anthology games have really hit it to the level that Until Dawn did. So The Quarry is an attempt to do that. All right? I have purposely stayed away from all information about The Quarry to not spoil myself. When I play this game on June 10th, I want it to be absolutely positively the first time I'm experiencing it with zero spoilers and just sitting there and having fun with it. Okay? So, I'm excited for this, and I hope you guys are too. I think it's going to be a wild ride, like always, when I play these style of games. Sonic Origins, of course I'm excited for. I love the classic Sonic games. I've only played Sonic 1 and 2 for you guys. I never played Sonic 3, never played Sonic and Knuckles, I never played Sonic CD, and all those are in that collection. Plus, apparently, there's new content in the collection. So I'm all for that. I'm pumped for that. Capcom Fighting Collection, are you kidding me? To re-experience the Darkstalkers games in a competitive manner, but also to play Hyper Street Fighter 2, the game that I was one of the best in the country at the time. That's going to be outstanding. Fire Emblem 3 Warriors 3 Hopes, or Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes, nah. Fire Emblem 3 Houses was good, but it was a few years ago now that I played it. This is a game where you control those characters in an open combat Musou setting. I'm sure the graphics... Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. Please... Oh, no. Please don't tell me. Please don't tell me. Ladies and gentlemen, I actually have no idea, but please don't tell me. It's not a Switch exclusive, is it? No, I hope not. Please, no, don't be a Switch exclusive. Please tell me that this game is on other consoles than the Nintendo Switch. Please tell me. Please tell me it's not Switch. I'm waiting out for an answer here. No. No, it is. Oh. No. Fucking shit. I might skip it. I'm serious. Listen, they have tried again and again and again and again to make these Musou style games on the Switch and or the Nintendo console, and it always fails. It always runs like shit. Yet they keep fucking making them and people keep buying the shit. I was going to play The Legend of Zelda. What was it called? Age of Calamity or whatever? And I didn't get it. I played the beta. It was shit. It was constantly slowing down and lagging up. Right? And what was the one before? I played a bunch of these. They're terrible. Oh, and the thing is, I recently, just for full disclosure purposes here, the reason I'm really upset is because recently I played One Piece Pirate Warriors 4 on the Series X, Xbox Series X, under Game Pass. The first Musou game I ever played, it ran like butter. Silky smooth, 60 frames, zero slowdown, graphics were outstanding, and I'm like, wow, this is what the Musou games were supposed to be experienced like. And I've never had this experience because every time I play one, it lags to shit. It was the first time I was like, oh, now, yes, moving forward in the future, we can enjoy these games, and now you're telling me immediately it's a Switch exclusive. Like, oh, fucking shit, why? I'm actually being told, I believe Fire Emblem, I guess, is exclusively on Nintendo. I didn't even know that, When I played Fire Emblem 3 Houses years ago, you guys, were the ones who picked that. Again, talking about viewer's choice. You guys were the ones who picked that playthrough. I didn't know anything about the franchise. I didn't even know that it was like a Nintendo exclusive. Oh my god, man. Fucking fucks. Fucking fuck farts. Anyway, all right. So as you can see already, I wasn't super excited for it, and now I'm even less excited for it. And then the last thing in June is, of course, Cuphead the Delicious Last Course DLC on June 30th. I mean, I've been waiting for that for how many goddamn years? Seriously, I've been waiting for that for so damn long. That I'm very excited for it. But I mean, it's been freaking Jesus. Didn't it come out 2016? 6 fucking years? 6 years for an expansion DLC. I mean, I hope it's good. It's on the Series X. It'll probably run even better than it did on the One, but all right. Anyway, those are the games I'm excited for in June. Let's see here. So we got a tip, all right? Geodudism tipped me $9.98. I don't know if he was trying to keep it under 10 here. He's off by 2 cents, all right? Now, it's the biggest tip of the day. He's got a valid question. I'm going to answer it. Honestly, I'm not going to take offense at what he said because I don't actually think he means to take offense at all. But I think maybe he does have I spelled his name Godudism instead of Geodudism. Hold on. I think he has a legit concern. I think that absolutely positively it should be answered. Although I was going to talk about this on Saturday. So it's kind of jumping the gun here to talk about it now. Okay. But what he's saying is the following. He tipped me $9.98 and he says, why do you think responding to John and Howard's stuff is a good idea? It's 7 years old. It's all done for. Who cares? You really can't add anything meaningful there. Trust me. Actually, it's completely false. I know for a fact I can add a ton of meaningful stuff because the problem, again, number one, all right, when that video came out, all right, I was in the midst of one of the worst years of my life, all right? Everything literally that could go wrong did go wrong in 2015. And we'll outline all of that on Saturday. And again, I'm not going to do the whole fucking Saturday react now. All right, you really are jumping the gun with this. But at the time, there was so much going on in my life that was negative. Just to have one more negative thing like this piled on top, okay, was basically kind of the breaking point for me where I was like, I just don't even want to talk about this shit anymore. I'm so done with it. And I was, you know, a lot of things were suffering in my life as a result of the ongoing pile of negativity on top of me. So I never reacted to it at all. At first, I acted like it didn't even exist, right? I just kind of ignored it. You know, years and years later, people would start to ask me on live streams about it. You know, and I would do things like my Battle Royale live streams where it was mostly me talking with my audience while I played a stupid Battle Royale game. They would ask me questions about stuff like that. And, you know, I would answer every once in a while. It would never be like a full answer. It would always be like an off-the-cuff kind of a answer or feeling. Like one of the things I remember specifically saying was, people would say, well, why don't you ever reach out to John Rambo and Howard? And I would answer, because it's public, I can say this isn't spoiling or whatever. I would say, well, listen, these guys made this video. The reason that prompted me to talk publicly about them at all is because they literally ignored me. I was contacting them, or to clarify, I was contacting John over and over, and he was completely ghosting me, right? I was the one reaching out to them, saying, hey, is there a problem? Hey, why aren't you talking with me? And my audience was constantly pounding me with requests, what's going on with them? And I had no answers, right? So after like a year of that going on, I kind of had it, and I kind of vented in a video about it, saying, listen, I can't control it. I don't know what's going on. You know, it's up to them to respond to me, which they're not doing. And then I fully expected that they would have responded privately and explained to me what was going on. Instead, they reacted publicly. Completely unexpected. I never expected that what happened was going to happen. All right? So when you say, well, why don't you reach out to John and Howard after that? I mean, don't you think that I had been trying to reach out to them for a year? They ignored me completely and ghosted me. And their first attempt to contact me in a year is to make a public slam video. Do you really think those are the kind of people that want to continue to be your friend? Let's be honest here. At this point, the friendship was over. At that point, that video was the way to sever the friendship. There was no point in making it besides that. You see? So, why on earth would I reach out to them after? I was the one reaching out for a year and getting ignored. Then I get this video put out about me, right? It's like, well, why would I reach out to them again after that? At that point, when you see, again, at a low point in my life. That was one of the worst years of my life. Anyone who had publicly been following me knew all the fucked up stuff that happened to me in 2015. And for them to just be another thing to pile on top when they well knew everything that I was going through is just kind of like the ultimate fuck you. We don't want to do anything with you. Leave us alone. And that's how I took it, you know? So that's just one example of something that I would react to over the years. Someone would ask me a question like that during a Battle Royale stream and I would answer. And as soon as I would say that, people were like, oh God, well, what about everything in that video? Is it true? Is it not? So it's always was like this underlying burning question, all right? But I always stayed away from it. And the reason is, as I told you guys, you know, that kind of stuff, it's drama content, all right? And I feel like unless you actually address it from a very professional manner, meaning I'm going to do it now because I feel like there's something I can add. I'm going to do it now because I feel like I can give everyone full perspective. And being honest, you know, I just turned 40 years old. And I'm starting to look back at times in my life when I was a different kind of person that I don't really like, you know? And admittedly, I can look back at those times 10 years ago when I was a full-time YouTuber. And I was, again, my mentality was videos, right? And I look back like, damn, you know, I really do wish I had done things differently in a lot of ways. And yes, the friendship with those guys is probably one of the major things that I fucked up. And I want to talk about it. I've never talked about it publicly at all. I've always danced around the subject or just ignored it completely and said, what's the past is the past. Here's the thing. I already talked about this earlier this week, geodidism. I'll say it again. It's 7 years later. It's not like, oh, Phil's doing it right away for shock value reaction at all. I've waited for more than enough time that there's not going to be any negative impact on anyone for me to react to this. Both John and Howard no longer have an active internet presence. John has completely retired from the internet for years. Howard has a channel he barely uses, if ever. It's not going to be some kind of a giant negative piling on to them. And by the way, like I said, that's not what my reaction is going to be. It seems like you're looking at this situation as if, oh, this is going to be Phil's slam back to John and Howard because they slammed him 7 years ago. That's not what this is at all. This is me taking exactly what was said, putting that into a frame of reference so people can understand it. Because when you just listen to that recording raw, it references a million things that you don't have in front of you. So you don't even know what they're talking about. And then you just say, oh, okay, what they're saying must be really bad. Man, Phil must have been a real dick or whatever. But you don't even know because you didn't hear it. So we're going to put all that into perspective. You can judge for yourself. If you want to see if back then I was an asshole, fine, judge for yourself. But at least it's in front of you. It's like kind of like, you know, I know how stupid this sounds. By the way, in no way am I going to directly compare the two. But we've got this ongoing trial of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard for defamation. And you got one side says one thing, oh, this really happened. And the other side says the other thing, oh, no, this really happened. But without having the actual concrete objective evidence in front of you of the situation, how can you side with anyone or how could you even understand what happened in that situation? You can't. That's why we've had a fucking giant trial to blow this shit out of proportion, and it's all that's anyone's talked about for weeks and weeks, right? So in this case, right, put it into perspective. And I think what it is, a lot of people are afraid to go back to the past and look at the things that they've done, and they're afraid of who they were. Oh my God, well, I've moved on from there. I have. I'm a different person now than I was back then. That's absolutely truthful. But at the very same time, that doesn't mean that you don't go back and look at what happened. And you know, like, what did they say? That those who deny history are doomed to repeat it? So what's wrong with going back and actually doing a formal response to that recording? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And you could argue, well, you know, they're in the long past. You say that. But to this day, people still bring them up in my content. Every day. Phil, what do you think about John? How do you think he's doing? Do you wish you were still friends with him? Yada, yada, yada. The whole real purpose is to put it to bed. All right? It's been 7 friggin' years. I've made content in Washington State far longer as a solo content creator than I ever did any kind of cooperative content with those guys back in Connecticut. It's a serious, like, 5.5 years versus 8 years in climbing here in Washington. Yet people still to this day go back and say, hey, Phil, what about John and Howard? What are you talking about? It's so distant. It's so far in the past that you're still bringing it up. So now I'm going to address it. We're going to fully, professionally address it. I can't say objectively because that's impossible. I'm one of the subjects of discussion. I can't objectively address this. But what I can do is do my best to give you my perspective on what was going on back then, to present the things that they're referencing in the video objectively for you to watch and judge for yourself, and then say, here's what happened. It's documented. It's historical. Judge for yourself if I fucked up or not. I will publicly tell you right now, there are things in that video that I outright will admit I fucked up bad. At the same time, I absolutely know there's things in that video that are completely unfair against me. And I felt really, when you want to say, well, why didn't you contact John and Howard? Because they really hit below the belt. There's a couple things in that video that, like, never should you be bringing up publicly, especially when they were things that were never addressed to me directly at all. And all of a sudden, they're like, oh, well, this is something we always didn't like about it. Like, well, wait a minute, why didn't you tell me? Right? That's literally, like, hit me in the nuts. At a time when already it's, like, the worst time of my life. Let's just really strike him as hard as we can so that we don't ever have to talk to him ever again. And that's really what it felt like for me. So that's really the purpose here, is to get it done. No more lingering bullshit. No more ongoing asking of questions of bullshit. Just get it out of the way. And by the way, people voted for this. You say, why are you doing it? Because people wanted it. People voted for it in droves. This is what they wanted for this event. Okay? Okay. So there you go. I hope that answers your question fully. But like I said, if you want the full answer on this, you got to be here on Saturday when I actually do the react. Then you'll get it. Then you'll understand, because you're going to see everything, okay? I'm not going to, I'm telling you, this is not a hit piece. The last thing I would want to do is reach out to someone after 7 years of zero contact and start insulting them. That's ridiculous. That's stupid. That's the lowest form of bullshit. Why would I do that? That's so petty. That's not the purpose, okay? Okay. Shook Once has done a $3 tip. He says, I've been a fan since those early days. You know, that whole John Howard and you thing is a damn shame. Very sad. The Dead Island playthrough co-op was legendary with those guys. I know. Oh, I know. That was, if you don't know, it was me, John, and two of our friends, Justin and Grog, who did the original Dead Island co-op playthrough, Dead Island 1. That was just fucking legendary, because the way it came together and the silliness and the bugginess of that fucking game. Oh my God, it was ridiculously fun. You know? And it was cool back in the day, whenever there was a game that was co-op, to have the option that, hey, I could do it co-op with a bud right here on a couch next to me, or over the internet, or whatever the option was, right? It was always a good option, you know. It does suck. It absolutely does suck. That things ended the way they did. I wish they didn't, you know. Essentially, for me, things really started to change when I moved. When I moved, my entire life changed. I don't think I ever foresaw the amount of changes that were going to happen in my life when we moved. I thought, oh, I'm going to move, and within a week, I'll be right back into the same routine, right back into the same kind of deal. I'll be talking with John and Howard, we'll be hanging out, we'll be doing fun stuff, and it was completely not like that at all. It was just shocking how different my life was when I moved, how stressful, how fucked up things got here behind the scenes, which I already talked about some of that in my own Down the Rabbit Hole reaction, that my life kind of started to fall apart within a year of me living out here, because things weren't as they seemed, and the stresses and the amount of insane amounts of trolling and things really, really pushed things to the limits of what you could bear. And how do you maintain any kind of a semblance of a friendship or a life when your life is constant stress and struggle and people fucking with you? It was pretty messed up. And sadly, those guys, John and Howard, ended up getting a lot, and I mean a lot, of negative shit towards their way because of me. That's not right. That's not fair. What did they do to deserve that? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. They don't deserve to be hated on, to be shat on, to get trolling and shit. And John talks about that a lot in the video. He does. And I want to emphasize that those guys took a lot of shit. A lot of shit. Because they were my friends, or because they were in contact with me or content with me. You know? It's pretty fucked up. Yeah. Anyway, again, we're going to talk about this on Saturday. So, I mean, this topic is just kind of getting ahead of ourselves. So, okay. All right, guys, let's keep going. We still got some time. Let's see here. Expand Dong says, Age of Calamity was built with Nintendo's Breath of the Wild engine, not suited for Musu's. Three Hopes is built on a Three Houses engine, and both were made by Koei. I'm keeping up with the game. It runs fine. All right. Again, I'm not writing it off as I'm not going to play it. I'm just saying, I was asked the question, out of all the games coming out in June, which am I the most excited for? I'm definitely not really excited for that one. But hey, maybe it'll be You know what they say? The diamond in the rough? Perhaps it would be the diamond in the rough, right? Perhaps. Am I going to play Pac-Man again? Yes, I just said I'm playing it Wednesday night. It's Wednesday night's late night chill stream is Pac-Man Museum Plus, and I'm going to try to keep it in the rotation at least once a week because I really like the game. Okay. Was Street Fighter 2 the only game that I mained? Did I play MK back in the day? Excuse me. It was always Street Fighter 2 and or other Street Fighter games like Street Fighter 3, Alpha. I played all those heavily in arcades. And then when the Versus series came out, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom, MVC2, that was the game that I mained at that time. Were there other competitive games in arcades? Yes, Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct, among a few others, but they never really had the competitive scene around them that Street Fighter did. Meaning, were they there? Yes. Did people play them? Yes. But was there ever a major tournament or any major competition for those games? No. Once there was a Killer Instinct tournament ever, and I attended it and I lost. I was a little kid. I didn't really know what I was doing. Everyone else was doing fucking crazy combo breakers and fucking insane strategies. And here I am playing Riptor, and every time I hit someone twice, they would combo break me. I'm like, oh, fuck. Fuck this. But anyway, yeah, like, no, basically in Connecticut at least, those other games didn't really have a competitive scene. It was just Street Fighter and the Versus series, and that was it. Now, later on, when I started traveling for tournaments, that's when I heavily got influenced by other people, and I started playing games like Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, Capcom vs. SNK 2, and then eventually Super Turbo, and that's how I got really good at Super Turbo and ended up being a top tournament contender in the game around the mid-2000s, so. Shook Ones tipped another $2 and said, is it just me, but I'm 10 hours into Forbidden West, and I'm bored as shit. I bought it at launch, and I've been off and on because I'm bored. It wasn't like this when I played Zero Dawn. Here's the thing. Forbidden West, in my opinion, I talked about this, when I was playing it, does an insanely good job of making a great graphical, interface for the game. Like, oh my God, the game's gorgeous, right? The environments, they're varied and interesting. You start off in like kind of a jungle forest, you end up in a desert, then there's snowy mountains, then you're friggin' underwater, and then you're on the West Coast, which is all another like coastal kind of climate. That's amazing. The variety of climates is amazing. The variety of cultures, how in each region there's a culture that has completely different mindset of how to live life, and they dress differently and they act differently. Amazing. The core story elements, amazing. The problem is there's all this shit in between that's not that good. All the filler content, the busy work, is grindy as shit. It's like they went out of their way to make the game take more time to do anything meaningful. I'll give you a perfect example here. In the original Horizon Zero Dawn game, you go to a cauldron, which is a dungeon. You beat the cauldron. At the end, there's a big boss fight. And when you kill that boss, now you have the ability to hack that kind of robot and make it your own and use it in combat or traversal in the world. In Horizon Forbidden West, you go to a cauldron, you still complete the dungeon with puzzles, you fight the big boss, and then they say, oh, by the way, go out and grind even more. Kill 3 of this giant enemy type, 4 of this giant enemy type. Hope that through RNG means they drop the rare item you need. And once you have 4 of this, 3 of this, and 2 of this, now you can craft the ability to control that enemy. Why? Why did you make it so tedious? Did you not understand that that is wasted time for your audience? I don't want to sit there and repetitively rehunt the same things over and over. I beat the fucking dungeon already, and that already could be considered time investment. Why are you doubling and tripling down on time investment in your game? It feels to me like they really wanted that game to be the main game you play for like 2 months. You're going to be so immersed in Horizon Forbidden West, you're not going to want to play anything else. You just focus on this, and so you want to fall into every little piece of grindy content, every side mission. There's entire villages in that game you can skip. They add absolutely nothing to the story. They add absolutely nothing to the game. You don't need any abilities or items from them, but they're there if you want to do them. Huh? It's really odd. And I feel like the game's kind of disjointed in that way. Like there was a team working on the core story, a team working on the side content, and never did the game director sit down and say, let's coherently mesh them together so that it makes sense. Instead, it feels like, oh, I'm doing story, this is fun. Oh, wait, I'm doing side content. What the fuck is this? This is boring. And that, really, the whole game felt like that to me. Ultimately, I liked it. Ultimately, I thought the game was good, but I was very disappointed with the way that they implemented all that shit in the middle. So, if you're bored, likely it's because you're focusing in on trying to do the things you're running into instead of just focusing on the story. If you focus on the story, you'll probably enjoy the game a lot more. Seriously. But if you stop to do all the content along the way, you'll find yourself being very, very tedious and bored, I bet. Okay. All right, continuing on. Geodudism tipped another $10, which is now, I just punched my mic again. Why do I keep punching my mic these days? You know what it is? Recently, I adjusted my setup. When I zoomed out the camera, I was like, oh, let me make the microphone a little, like I readjusted, and I think it's at a point now where I kind of move my hands and I keep punching it. So Geodudism now has upped his tip to $10. That is the top tip of the day now. Thank you, Geodudism. Wait, where's the dollar sign? The dollar sign has vanished. There we are. Okay. Thank you, Geodudism. All right, so he now says it was just under $10, his previous tip. I did it in euros. Thanks for explaining. I guess I'll see this Saturday how things go, but I do worry. Fuck me, right? I hear you. Listen, here's the difference. Phil back then, Phil, you know, old Phil, 7 to 10 years ago Phil, was Phil who was so defensive about everything. God forbid someone criticize me, someone tell me that I'm doing something wrong, someone tell me how to improve. I was the most stubborn, obstinate fucking idiot. And I would sit here and I'd be like, me. And honestly, what do you think my reaction was originally when that video came out, right? I was upset, very upset. And I, of course, wanted to speak out about it, but I knew it was just going to go bad. I knew that I was going to be heated. I knew that I was going to be not level-headed, and I was going to be a jerk, all right? Because that's how I was back then. But a lot has changed since then. I'm in a much better life situation now than I was back then, for sure, all right? Even though the idiots of the internet love to pile on me, today they pile on me for the stupidest reasons. Back then, you could argue there was a lot of stupid things and bad things I was doing constantly, right? So people could say, you know, his content sucks and this and that. Now, the difference is that I've changed as a person and a content creator. The things that I get criticized for are fucking dumb fuck conspiracy theories and shit because people just want to keep the meme rolling rather than actually having anything concrete. So I'm not afraid now to look back at who I was and say, here's all the things I fucked up. Because I did. Like, I look back at that time in Connecticut when I was making content as a big squandered opportunity. There was so much stuff I could have done differently, you know? So many opportunities I had that I wasted or failed or didn't take early enough. And that's on me. That's all on me. I have to fess up to the shit that I screwed up. Because if you don't, if you don't own your mistakes and learn from them, you'll never improve. You know what I'm saying? And that, like, a real purpose of this video will be to look back and be like, dude, look at what I've directly learned from this. I can tell you right now, the Project 7 situation, that's something I absolutely, positively, 100% have directly learned from and never made that mistake again, excuse me. And we'll talk about that, you see? But that's the whole purpose. It's not, this is not, let's make a slam video on these people. I'm never going to make a slam video ever. Not once ever will you see me. I would rather sit here and do positive stuff and play games and have fun with you guys than sit here and make a negative slam video on anyone. That's not the point, right? Okay, JD just did a super chat. He says, you seem to be more zen as you're getting older. I mean, that's kind of the point. The older I get, the more relaxed I get. It used to be when people did nasty stuff to me, I'd get really frustrated about it. Now that's not even the case anymore. Now it's more like, I groan. I'm like, you know, it's just, I just want to not even pay attention to the nonsense. I just don't have time for it. I'm older now. You know, I'm going to die soon. All right, maybe that's a little dramatic. I'm not going to die soon. But you see the point I'm making is time is wasting. There's no time to be wasting on that shit. There's too much else going on. And you know the truth is, in my opinion, is that people who always wrap themselves up in that shit are people who just don't have anything else to do in their lives. They don't understand how precious life is and how little time you have, how futile it is. When you start seeing people around you get older, get sick, pass away, you start realizing, oh my God, I got one life to live and I got to make the best of it. What the fuck am I wasting my time on drama on the internet for? And then you move on from it. And I got to that point in my life, thank God, but a lot of people haven't. You see? That's why you still have this kind of stupid shit going on. Okay. By the way, I think there were more super chats. I apologize to Wolf-like, who did a super chat earlier, which was a big anthropomorphic thumbs-upping pair. And B. Stevens actually did a super chat earlier. that was a laptop that said work across the screen. Thank you guys for the support with the super chats. I appreciate that, and sorry that I missed them earlier. Okay. Guy Incognito says, my uncle died 2 years ago, Phil. First of all, I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry to hear that. You couldn't be more right. Now I see them all leaving. I'm scared to miss a moment. Right, exactly. When you're getting older, right? No, for number one, when you get older, time flies. Like when you're young, it seems like you're bored. There's nothing to do. There's not a moment in my life I'm bored and there's nothing to do. I'm too busy all the time. I wish I had time to be bored. I don't. I'm pulled in directions. Every moment of my life, I'm pulled in another direction. Do this, do that. You should be doing this. You could be doing this. And then the time flies like this, you know? And next thing you know, I'm 40 years old. Jeez, I don't have time for this shit. I don't have time for your trolling, your stupid conspiracy bullshit. And I hate to say it, I wish that other content creators out there would follow that kind of mantra. Like a classic example we just saw, Wings of Redemption, constantly gets trolled and then gets himself pulled into it. I feel like if he would just step back and say, every time I get pulled into it, it gets worse, his life would be so much better. But he just can't help himself. I'm someone who's like, I've learned from that, and I said, I'm not going to be in that shit anymore. They can do whatever shit they want to do out there. I'm not going to get pulled into the drama. So when I do a react video like this, it ain't going to be Phil does drama for 5 hours. It's going to be Phil actually legitimately addresses what these guys are saying, gives supplementary content to explain the frame of reference of what was going on back then, and then you can objectively judge for yourself what you think. But I'm obviously going to give you my subjective take on what was going on back then, but I can tell you I'm going to fess up to a lot, because I know that I fucked up back then. I'm not stupid. You know, I look at it now like, absolutely, I should have been taking the time to do this or do this differently, and I didn't do it, and it's my fault, okay? Okay. Oh. All right, let's keep going. Other questions, my friends, before we jump into Skyrim today? Anything else? Snow Carl, you're one of many. He says he's playing Skyrim now because I've been playing it. Thanks for the nostalgic feelings. Yeah, a lot of people were like that. A lot of people said since I started playing Skyrim again, they've jumped in for the first time in many years and they're having a good time with it. That's awesome. If anything, I'm glad to have a positive influence on people in the games they play, you know? Cactus says, would I react to it? This is how you don't play edit. Dude, we already... Cactus, that was one of the options. I swear people have really short-term memories unless you just, you know, weren't paying attention back then. Not even a month ago, we were trying to determine what would be the next, like, React-style event, and the poll was between the original This Is How You Don't Play video or the John and Howard video, and people voted for John and Howard, so I'm down for that. Like, if people ever wanted to see me react to This Is How You Don't Play, I've never done that. I'll be honest with you guys. I have never watched This Is How You Don't Play in full. I've seen parts, I've seen excerpts, I've watched portions. I've never just sat my butt down and watched one of them from start to finish, including the original one. I've never just watched it in its entirety. Okay? There you go. Windclaw says, if I remember correctly, wasn't This Is How You Don't Play second place? Yes. Basically, the options were John and Howard, the original This Is How You Don't Play, or a couple, like, documentaries from June the King, and basically people are tired of the documentary-style stuff at this point. Like, they saw me do Wings, they saw me do the Final Fantasy House, and then they saw me do the one on myself, and like, all right, it's enough. You know, we've seen enough of that. Let's do something different, and that's what we're doing now, you see? You want differentiation. You don't want the same thing every time, and I hear that. And one of the major reasons why I'm going to attempt to do React-style stuff against all the gaming stuff in the next month. I'm going to try to react to the Sony State of Play, react to the, you know, Summer Games Fest. Protusum Zone, I answered this yesterday. Trolls only say dumb shit like that because they have no... Basically, right now, trolls are very bored. All right? There's nothing going on at all right now in regards to me dramatic-wise, right? There's nothing. In fact, games are dead. Everything's dead. Kind of a slow time. So what do the trolls do when they're bored? Let's make up the new conspiracy theory. So their conspiracy theory is 1 Minute Man doesn't exist. He's a phantom. He's a ghost. A ghoulie. Or maybe he's an alternate personality that I invented in my head. So every day here, when I say, oh, 1 Minute Man contributed, it's a lie. I'm making it up. All right? First of all, if I were making it up, The only person I'm hurting is myself. I'm faking contributions? For what purpose exactly? Right? Like, how dumb does that sound? I'm faking contributions. Right? What are you, stupid? How do you even, I don't even know how you get past that first question of why would Phil fake contributions on his own stream. How does that even make sense, what you're saying? It doesn't, all right? It just doesn't make sense. Now, the thing is, I guess where this weird conspiracy theory came up from is that 1 Minute Man always tips daily behind the scenes, meaning there's no pop-up on stream when he tips. And I've already explained how this happened. He did used to tip publicly on the streams. If you go back about a year and a half, he was tipping publicly on the streams. What happened was, if you remember, Streamlabs, which is the processing company I used to get tips through, one day banned me. But they didn't just ban me, they shadow banned me. They sent me no notice, they didn't explain it. One day people are like, I'm trying to tip and it won't go through, I don't even know what's going on. Can you answer, Phil? Do you know what's going on? And I said, I don't know. I couldn't figure it out either. I wrote them a question, like I asked them, and they ghosted me, okay? So it wasn't just me. Apparently, they did the same thing to like Wings of Redemption and others. So I switched from Streamlabs over to Stream Elements, and that's what I've been using since then. But in the interim, there was like maybe 2 days where I didn't have a way to tip me publicly through the streams where you could get a pop-up. So I had to kind of say, hey, if you want to help and support me behind the scenes, please tip me, and here's my PayPal account you can send it to. And at that time, 1 Minute Man started tipping me that way. And ever since, 1 Minute Man has tipped me that way. Okay? They never opted to go to the new Stream Elements method to get a pop-up on stream. They're just doing it, through the directly to the PayPal. Which is fine if they're not looking for public recognition. I still shout them out. I still put them on the leaderboard, but they never really, I think very few times have they left a message. So I think one time was happy birthday, Phil, or something like that, right? Now, the funny part about this is the silliness of it, is that people are like, well, if the guy is tipping behind the scenes every day and he's tipping exactly the same time, and it's always when you go on break, you must be tipping yourself. I just want you to think about this. Tipping yourself. That doesn't even make sense. I would say, if you're going to say I'm lying and just saying the tip doesn't exist, that's one thing. Tipping myself. I'm purposely sending funds to myself through a payment processor that takes a cut of the funds. I'm pissing money away on a daily basis. Why are you so stupid? Why? How could you even fathom that would be something happening? I mean, I don't know how much dumber you could be. For a hobby as a child, did you just run into walls head first? Like, duh. No. That makes no sense what you're saying. Yikes. But anyway, no. I'm not making it. And the other thing is that, oh, well, see, he only gets those tips during his breaks, so obviously he's making it up or whatever. It's not true. There have been days on a marathon when I don't take my break around that time. And then I come back and I'm like, oh, guys, just so you know, I was just checking my emails during my actual break later, and I noticed that 1 Minute Man had tipped me, and I didn't even notice it because we were live streaming at the time. I didn't stop to check, and there's no pop-up for his contribution. So now let's add it. Go back and watch some of my marathons, and you will see that that's happened frequently during a marathon, is when my break is not aligned. That's what happens. So it's just so dumb, because here's what it is. They want to bring up something that they know I cannot show evidence of, because if I tried to show you evidence that the tips were really coming through, it would basically dox the person, right? It would give you their information. It would give you their email address or whatever. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not a dunce. But that's what they want. They're like, maybe if we get enough people saying that 1 Minute Man is fake and doesn't exist, then just maybe Phil will do something stupid to get him in trouble. I am not you. I'm not stupid. I'm not going to do something stupid because I'm not an idiot like you. So you can stop with your bullshit. Go ahead and pass your dumb fuck conspiracy theories in circles. Nothing you say makes any sense. You're a waste of everyone's time, including mine. Get fucked. I'm not answering that question ever again because it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Okay. One and done, as they say. Yes, Expand Dong, I appreciate you giving me more information on the game, and I'm still going to still consider it for June. Thank you. Okay, any last questions? Anything else? Was I competitive in Capcom versus SNK? Not really. For the first one I hated, and so did most other competitive players. Capcom versus SNK 1 was considered a competitive fail because it was way unbalanced, and there were characters in the game who could beat you by doing jumping short kick, and it would stuff everything in the game, including Shoryukens and shit. It was a really bad game. The sequel's much better, but that game was dominated by a glitch called a roll cancel that every single person implemented into their competitive play and kind of broke the game. So essentially, if you weren't performing a glitch every time you played it, you could not hang competitively. And I didn't really like that. I didn't like having to do glitches to win. I still liked the game, and I had friends who were very good at Nestor. Coruchado was incredibly good at fucking CVS 2. One of the best in the country by far. And I loved watching him play at a high level. I was like, dude, he's so fucking good at this game. But I didn't get the bug on, certain games you get the bug. The Versus series, oh man, I love it. I'm addicted to it. I want to keep playing it. Super Turbo, same feeling. CVS is kind of like, it's good, but nah. There's always things that I kind of, it was always a little off to me because of the roll canceling. I didn't really care that much about it. So, ow. All right, are we good? All right, guys. Let's end the pre-stream. Thank you for a great pre-stream. Thank you for the support during the pre-stream. End it. I'm going to take a very brief break to use the restroom, and then we're going to jump into a chill Skyrim stream where, by the way, I'm sure there's going to be tons of fun interactions. Choco Boko just hit me $5. Let's address this at the end here. He said, I did watch a bit of This Is How You Don't Play videos before I found your channel. I thought it was funny. When I see other controversies, I had to check your channel out for myself, and I knew that they were wrong about you. Today's the anniversary of finding your channel. Well, wow. Happy Discovery-versary. Or whatever you want to call it for yourself, Chocoboko. Thank you. And, again, I will say this. I absolutely, positively appreciate, those who give me a chance. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate those who, instead of just being negative and buying into all the drama and all the bullshit that constantly happens, all right? I totally appreciate those who gave me a chance, because there's people who sadly out there just never gave me a chance. You know what I'm saying? They see that drama shit, and then they pass it off as fact, and they won't ever give me an opportunity to prove myself. They say first impressions are everything, right? That's the problem, is when you get a first impression on someone, and if the first impression is a toxic, negative impression because someone's making fun of you, that's it. Write them off, right? So thank you. Thank you, Chocoboko. Okay? Now, Rob on Wheels, also thank you for a $5 tip, and I am reading your message. I acknowledge it. I actually agree with you, but I'm not going to read that right now because, number one, it's just going to cause drama on the stream, and number two, because I am trying to end the pre-stream and use the restroom, okay? But I appreciate the $5 tip. Thank you, and just so you know, I read it. I understand what you're saying. I completely agree with you. Yeah. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, let us end the pre-stream. Use the restroom. I'll be back. We'll start up with Skyrim. Sound good? All right, guys. I'll be right back. Thank you so much. See you in a sec.